So, in this session we are going to discuss some of the problems of heat transfer, like this problem you see. Let me draw the diagram. So, there is a problem on condensation. You see what is given. Consider a liquid stored in a container exposed to saturated vapor at constant temperature Tsat. The bottom surface of the container is maintained at a constant temperature Ts, which is lower than Tsat, while its sides wall are insulated. The thermal conductivity KL of the liquid, its latent heat of vaporization lambda and density unknown. So, what we know? KL we know, lambda we know, and density rho we know. Assuming a linear temperature distribution in the liquid here, the expression of growth of the liquid layer as a function of time. So, we have to solve that how delta is growing with time. Now, you see এখানে নেব এদিকে তো এইখানেই লাগানো ছিল হ্যালো 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 এরকম ঠিক আছে শুরু করব So, this KL, lambda and rho are given and we have to calculate how delta is varying with time. So, you see that if this area is A, so A into this area is A. So, A into d delta dt into rho, that is basically dm dt of the liquid, right. So, that must be is equal to the heat which is being transferred from the vapor to the liquid through the liquid film by conduction divided by the latent heat. So, this is in principle we are using the same technique with which we have derived Nusselt equation, but there the problem was a steady state problem, right, where delta changes with x. Now, whenever you are constraining that system, now here it is changing with time, there is no spatial variation. So, this is equal to KL into Tsat minus T divided by delta into area. So, you see now that into lambda, the latent heat is to be divided. So, area cancels out and we have this delta square by 2 is equal to KL Tsat minus T into lambda into rho into T. So, delta will vary like 2 of this to the power half. So, that is a typical problem on condensation and it is quite an interesting problem. Now, you see another problem here. This is also conceptual based on your idea of these. This is also 2006 or 8, I do not remember the year exactly. And here what we are going to solve is 2016 2 marks problem. An experimental setup. In an experimental setup, mineral oil is filled in between the narrow gap of two horizontal smooth plates. The setup has arrangement to maintain the plate at desired uniform temperature. At this temperature, only radiative heat flux is negligible, means conductive and convective heat fluxes we have to consider. The thermal conductivity of the oil does not vary perceptibly in this temperature range. Consider 4 experiments at steady state under different experimental conditions as shown in the figure. So, what is the figure? Here we have 4 such cases of 2 plates. This is 30 degree, this is 60 degree. The flux is 39 watt per meter square here. This is 60, this is 30, flux is 26 watt per meter square. This is 40, this is 70, the flux is 42 watt per meter square. And here this is 40, this is 70. You are asked to calculate the flux in watt per meter square. What is the steady state heat flux when the top plate at 70 degree and the bottom is at 40 degree? So, you see here, as the lower plate is maintained at higher temperature, so we will have the contribution of conduction and natural convection, right. Definitely if natural convection happens, and this will happen because this has been justified by the second case. Why? Because in the second case the top plate is hot whereas the bottom plate is cold, so we will have only conductive transport from here to here. So, conductive transport over the same thickness, same thermal conductivity and same temperature difference will remain same here. So, if I see that this is 39 and this is 26, so inevitably we can conclude that this is beyond certain threshold and natural convection and contribution is contributing in this case. So, that is fine. And in the second case, this is 70, this is 40. So, obviously we will have natural convection plus conduction. Now, what is the case here? Here again we will have only conduction. And what is the temperature difference? 30 degree. Conductive heat transport depends only on temperature difference, right. K into delta T divided by L into area, or area is not there. K thermal conductivity into temperature difference divided by thickness. So, thickness remains same, right. Temperature difference 70 minus 40, 30, 60 minus 30. 30 and K remains same. So, here the answer is nothing but 26 watt per meter square. So, my answer here is 26. So, you do not have to do anything, it is a 2 marks problem, entirely conceptual. This is 2012 2 marks problem, very easy double pipe heat exchanger type problem where we have to use this Q equal to UA LMTD formula. And what is the statement? See, in a counter flow, this 2012 2 marks, counter flow heat exchanger. So, it is always better to have a diagram here. Oil is cooled, oil mass flow rate is given 2 kg per second, Cp 2.1 kilojoule per kg Kelvin, right, or kg degree Celsius. Is cooled from 90 degree Celsius to 40 degree Celsius. by water. So, here m dot is 1 kg per second, Cp is also given, which enters the inner tube at 10 degrees Celsius, right. The radius of the inner tube is 3 centimeter. So, here we have some inner tube. So, this is this radius Ri is 3 centimeter and its length L is 5 meter. Neglecting the wall resistance, the overall heat transfer coefficient based on inner radius. So, we have to solve for Uy. So, what is to be done? So, you see that 2 into this 2.1 into 40 minus 90 minus 40 equal to 50 is equal to 1. Here it will be 4.2 or 4.18 or 2, whatever is given, 4.2 kilojoule per kg into this T C out minus 10. So, you can get this T C out here, right, and its counter current heat exchanger. So, obviously, LMTD will be here on this side and here it is T C out. So, 90 minus T C out minus this 40 minus 10, it is 30 divided by ln of 90 minus T C out divided by 30, and Uy we can calculate as Q divided by UA LMTD, or rather Uy AI LMTD. So, Q, you see this is basically Q in kilojoule. So, 2 into 50, 100 into 2.1, so 210 kilojoule per, or this basically will be in kilowatt, right. So, Q will substitute here and AI, so not solving it, AI will be equal to 2 pi Ri into L. So, you have to substitute it here and from there we can get this Uy, right. So, it is straightforward problem, but you have to be careful about the units and dimensions. So, now let us solve a different problem. It is a problem from the book. Consider an enclosure formed by two diffuse gray spherical surfaces. This. The outer radius of the inner sphere is R1. Sorry, this one outer radius of the inner sphere, that is R1, and inner radius of the outer sphere, that is R2. Right. And the emissivities of the surface, this has got emissivity epsilon 1, this has got emissivity epsilon 2. Determine the view factor F12 and F21. So, first problem. So, you see view factor, we know that here the self, this is surface 1 and this is surface 2. So, F11 is 1, F12 is equal to, sorry, F11 is 0, F12 is equal to 1, F12 into 4 pi R1 square is equal to F21 4 pi R2 square. So, F21 is equal to this R1 square by R2 square and F22 is 1 minus R1 square by R2 square. So, you have solved this F11, F12 and F21. The net rate of radiation energy gained by the inner surface, right, net rate of radiation energy gained by the inner surface, and the temperatures are also specified. This is T1, this is T2, it is given. So, what is the flow? So, you have to go by this electrical network diagram. So, here it is 1 by epsilon 1, 1 minus epsilon 1 by epsilon 1 A1. So, which is 4 pi R1 square into epsilon 1. Here it is 1 divided by A1, that is 4 pi R1 square into F12, A1 into F12, right? F12 is 1. And here it is 1 by epsilon 2 by 4 pi R2 square into epsilon 2. And this is the poles of EB1 and EB2. So, Q divided by your Q, basically Q net or Q12 net, net rate of radiation loss, or here what is the question? Calculate the rate of radiation energy gained by the inner surface. So, it is basically 2 1. So, sigma T2 to the power 4 minus T1 to the power 4 divided by all these 1 minus epsilon 1, 4 pi R1 square epsilon 1, 1 divided by 4 pi R1 square plus 1 minus epsilon 2 by 4 pi R2 square epsilon 2. So, that is the radiative transport. Next, hence calculate the rate of loss of saturated liquid nitrogen at 1 atmospheric pressure stored in the double walled spherical Dewar flux. So, here we store the nitrogen, right. So, obviously, we can write that Q21 net is equal to this dmdt, that is the rate of vaporization multiplied by lambda of N2, right. So, the amount of heat inflow whatever is received by this inner spherical this storage tank, that will determine the rate of vaporization of nitrogen. See, this is old 5 marks problem before this 2002, but we should solve this. Air flows through a smooth tube. The diameter is 2.5 centimeter, length 10 meter at 37 degree here. It is flowing. If the pressure drop through the tube, delta P is equal to 10,000 Pascal. Right. Estimate air velocity through the tube and the friction factor. And the second, first question, velocity and friction factor, and 2, heat transfer coefficient H. And the friction factor correlation is given 0.184 divided by RE to the power 0.2, right, and given data mu, rho, Cp and K. These are given. So, first we have to solve for this air velocity. See, the pressure drop is given. So, this anything else? So, pressure drop is given and we consider this to be turbulent flow. So, yeah, for turbulent flow, delta P divided by rho 4FF L by D into V bar square by 2. And we substitute 4 into 0.184 d V bar rho by mu to the power 0.2 L by D into V bar square by 2, which is delta P by rho. Now you see rho AR is given, D given, rho given, right, mu given, here L and D unknown. So pressure drop is also given, so we can solve for velocity. So once velocity is solved, right, we will check that whether this Reynolds number d V bar rho by mu, what we have assumed to be turbulent, whether it is valid or not, and mostly it will be valid. So once the Reynolds number is known, so we know this FF is equal to 0.184 divided by RE to the power 0.2. So friction factor can also be solved, right. Next, the heat transfer coefficient. So the most common, see, it is here. So here, for here the Prandtl number is 0.7. So though it is close to Reynolds analogy, but it suggested that you shouldn't use Reynolds analogy. You use JH is equal to FF by 2. So FF we have already solved, and the JH, this factor which is Stanton number into Prandtl number to the power 2/3 into phi u to the power -1, this will be equal to 1. So Stanton number is H divided by this H divided by rho Cp V bar, Prandtl number Cp mu by K. We should check whether it is close to 0.7. Directly it is not recommended to replace this Prandtl number equal to 0.7, and from there we can get this heat transfer coefficient H, right. These were the 5 marks problem. See another problem, two ends of a 5 centimeter dia, means D is given, and 50 centimeter, D is 5 centimeter and length 50 centimeter. With curved surface perfectly insulated, are maintained at 330. Right. Respectively, the temperature dependent K of this metal rod can be given K equal to 202 plus 0.0545 T. So that's the temperature. Calculate the temperature gradient at the end of the rod, means here. Here we have to find this dt dx, and next the temperature midway the rod. So first is the temperature gradient at the end, and second it's the temperature value, absolute value of the temperature at x equal to L by 2. So you see that equation here is ddx of k into dt dx equal to 0 for heterogeneous equilibrium, heterogeneous continuum rather. So let's say this is A and this is B, this is A and this is B. So A plus Bt into dt dx equal to 0. So dt dx is equal to C1 divided by A plus Bt, and T will be equal to C1 divided by B ln of A plus Bt plus C2, right. Now, C1 and C2 we can solve, this is dt divided by this I have done wrongly, equal to C1x integral. So, ln 1 by b ln of a plus bt is equal to C1x plus C2. So basically a plus bt is equal to exponential of C1x plus C2 into b, and t is equal to, from here we can get the expression. Now, at x is equal to 0, I know this t equal to t1, x equal to L, I know t equal to t2, and from there the C1 and C2 can be solved, right. So, once you know C1 and C2, next it is very easy that you find out the C1, only knowing C1 you can find the gradient. So, you find the gradient at x equal to L, and also find the absolute value of temperature at x equal to L by 2, that is all. So, the technique is this, here we have to think that it should be k into dt dx, ddx of k into dt dx. You see, there is another very interesting theory type question. What is that? Steam is to condense in a shell and tube heat exchanger 5 meter long and shell diameter is 1 meter, right. Cooling water is to be used for removing heat. Heat transfer for cooling water, whether on shell or tube, is same. The best arrangement, vertical heat exchanger with steam in the tube side, vertical heat exchanger, steam in the shell side, and similarly horizontal heat exchanger with steam with tube and steam in shell. The point to be noted here, that condensing liquid, right, we should never give the condensing liquid in the tube side, right. What is the reason? The reason is it will form this liquid slug and it may block the tube. So, that is why for smooth condensation it should be always given in the shell side of the heat exchanger, and here it is condenser, and through these tubes we must circulate cooling water. Okay. Even if, keeping in mind that steam is a corrosive fluid, but still, and generally corrosive fluid we will see later in heat exchanger that corrosive fluid should be delivered to tube side, but still we should go for delivering the steam, that is the condensing fluid, in the tube side, right. Now, next question, whether it should be vertical or horizontal. See, the Nusselt equation gives you for vertical it should be proportional to wall by L to the power 1 by 4. For horizontal it is proportional to outside diameter of the tube 1 to the power 1 by 4. Now, D0 is generally for a tube is much smaller than L. So, we know that horizontal heat transfer coefficient is much greater than vertical heat transfer coefficient, but still all condensers are vertically mounted. Why? Because of the size, the huge size, 5 meter cross 1 meter. 5 meter cross 1 meter means vertical orientation if I give, I will occupy this much of floor space. In industry, floor space is very important, and if it is horizontal, it will be 5 meter square of floor space, right. So, 5 meter square of floor space in a compact layout, it is too costly, and at the same time, because of its huge structure, it is a general notion, the condensers are mounted vertically, right. All condensers, they are mounted vertically, and you save a bit of pumping cost because you deliver the vapor from the bottom and liquid from the top maybe, right, through the tube side. So, here we can actually will go for the vertically erected condenser because of its huge size. So, the answer is steam should be delivered in the shell side and it should be a vertical condenser. Now, you see another 1 mark question of 2019. Pool boiling equipment operating over ambient temperature is usually designed to operate. Pool boiling equipment, that is batch equipment, operating above ambient temperature is usually designed to operate first, far from the critical heat flux, near the critical heat flux, far from the Leidenfrost point, near the Leidenfrost point. So, basically I have mentioned that Leidenfrost point is associated, or Leidenfrost phenomena is associated to stable film boiling. So, it is this point. So, this is Leidenfrost point and this is the critical point. So, obviously where the heat transfer coefficient has got the maximum value, we should operate here, right, and we should avoid this film boiling basically. Okay, this problem. A 20 centimeter diameter solid pellet of nuclear fuel. So, diameter, this is a solid pellet of nuclear fuel. The diameter D is given, right, and the density given. Conductivity is also given. So, that means the language is a 20 centimeter diameter cylindrical solid pellet of nuclear fuel with density 6000 kg per meter cube and conductivity 300 watt per meter per Kelvin generates heat by nuclear fission at a spatially uniform rate of, so heat generation rate is 10 to the power 4 watt, 10 to the power 4 watt per kg, right. The heat from the fuel pellet is transferred to the surrounding coolant by convection such that the pellet world temperature remains constant. So, here the world temperature is 300 degrees Celsius. Neglecting the axial and azimuthal dependence of temperature, the maximum temperature in the pellet at steady state is. So, this is 2019 2 marks problem. So, you see the surface temperature is given and it is, we have to solve for steady state. So, for steady state, you know this equation 1 by R ddr of R dt dr, right, into plus q by k equal to 0. And the boundary conditions will be at R is equal to capital R, T equal to Ts, which is given, R is equal to 0, del T del R is 0, axisymmetric condition. This is called axisymmetric condition over the center line. Now, the point is heat generation rate is given in watt per kg and Q is in watt per meter cube, right. It is the generation rate per unit volume. So, that is why you use density. So, Q is equal to 10 to the power 4 watt per kg into rho, that is kg per meter cube. So, you multiply this 10 to the power 4 watt per kg into the density. So, you will get the rate per unit volume. So, that is the value of Q, and the rest you solve this and you will get the answer, right. It is pretty simple basically. This DDR of R dt dr is equal to minus of QR by K. So, R dt dr is equal to minus of QR squared divided by 2K plus C1. So, dt dr is equal to minus of Q R squared 2K plus C1 divided by R. So, obviously you see that this R equal to 0, dt dr equal to 0, right, and which is only possible if C1 is 0. So, again further integration will give you that minus of Q into R cube divided by 6K plus C2, right. So, kind of that. So, from there you solve C2 upon substitution of the second boundary condition, and from there you can get the temperature and the respective maximal temperature. This 2019 2 marks problem. See this 2008 2 marks problem. It is a lumped parameter analysis of unsteady state heat conduction. A metallic ball is given rho and Cp given of diameter, the diameter means radius is given. It is allowed to cool in air at 25 degrees. So, T infinity is given. When temperature of the ball is 125 degrees. So, Ti initial temperature that is given. It is found to cool at a rate of 4 degrees Celsius per minute. So, you see we know that minus of mCp dt dt is equal to H into A into T minus T infinity. So, minus of dt dt, which is 4 degrees Celsius per minute, is basically H, and it is a spherical ball. So, A is 4 pi r square divided by Cp into rho 4/3 pi r cube into T minus T infinity, right. So, if temperature gradient inside the wall are neglected, the heat transfer coefficient. So, this is given, so you have to solve for heat transfer coefficient. Initial temperature you substitute here Ti, that is the initial rate. So, this will be Ti, T infinity known, R is known, Cp rho, and this dt dt minus, that is 4 degrees. So, from there we can solve H. Okay, another problem. This is also a theory. Yeah. Heat is generated uniformly within a solid slab. The slab separates fluid 1 from fluid 2. So, on the two sides we have two different fluids. The heat transfer coefficient between the solid slab and the fluids are H1 and H2 with H2 greater than H1. The steady state temperature profiles for one-dimensional heat transfer is correctly shown by. So, what are the profiles that we have to know? So, this is this side H1, this side H2. Now, you see that when we have heat generation, d square T dx square plus q by k equal to 0, right. So, when d square T dx square is a constant, then integrating it twice we will get quadratic function, not linear function. So, these two are eliminated. So, between these two we have to select by boundary condition. Now, we know that at boundary this is at x equal to 0, and x equal to 0 what happens? So, here heat is being dissipated, right, and it is in the negative x direction. So, k into dt dx will be equal to h1 into t at 0 minus t infinity, and minus k into dt dx here minus k into dt dx is h2 into t at L minus t infinity, right. So, here in this case you see H1 is higher than H2, H1 is higher than H2. So, and T0 and TL are same for this case 1. So, we will have T0 and Tx are same. So, dt dx will be higher than dt dx at 1 will be higher than dt dx at 2, right. dt dx at 1 will be higher than dt dx at 2. So, obviously, we will have the maxima close to minima. So, this is quite consistent. So, let us check, this may be the answer. So, let us check this. So, here we have T0 is lower, or they are actually close, they are not very lower, they are very close, but this and this some difference is there. So, here we have dt dx is proportional to what? H1 into delta T, temperature difference. Here the temperature is low, so it goes down. So, dt dx eventually is proportional to H1, and H1 is higher. So, dt dx must be higher. So, the maxima should be somewhere over here. So, this option A is the correct answer, right, because dt dx the value will be majorly dominated by these heat transfer coefficients, because that is the typical boundary condition we have. So, if dt dx is higher, we should have the maxima close to that specific boundary at which the dt dx is higher. So, this is the correct answer, not this one. So, okay, that is all about the solution. In the next session, we are going to discuss evaporator. Thank you.